but it's all right. But man, honestly, the biggest news that I saw over the last week, which was kind of crazy to me that it didn't make even bigger headlines, is the fact that, as y'all see on the title of this whole thing, defensive coordinator Steve Belichick is out on indefinite medical leave.
Nani?
Yeah.
You know what's wild about all that?
What's up?
In an off season where North Carolina news was relatively quiet.
Ain't heard nothing about ain't heard
nothing for
about
most of the off season, and then all of a sudden, within the month of the season starting, here we are.
At least it ain't none of his. At least it ain't none of his relationship.
True.
At least there's not nothing from his relationship. It is other entities. It is not Bill himself.
Yeah,
which is what I can give.
Who shall not be named.
Right. But according to ESPN and individuals around, they said that on Thursday, North Carolina head coach Bill Belichick announced that his son and defense coordinator Steve Belichick will be out indefinitely on medical leave. Belichick did not provide anything. He said he did not provide any further details and did not say whether Steve Belichick would be able to coach in the season opener against TCU in Ireland on the 29th, noting only they look forward to getting him back as soon as possible. Belichick said the defensive staff would work together to fill Bill's spot or to fill Steve's spot. If Steve Belichick is unavailable for the opener, Belichick would then consider naming an interim coordinator. We coach defense collectively as a staff, and we will continue to do that, Belichick said. Steve, 39, served as a DC under his father in North Carolina last year, and he spent time with his dad on the New England Patriots staff. This news is latest surrounding North Carolina football program as fall practice begins. Last month, the school announced GM Mike Lombardi had been placed on leave while an investigation into his conduct was underway. So, I guess my question is, and I want to ask you, why do you think this wasn't a big news thing? Why wasn't this made as big as when Lombardi was gone last month? Because to me, I feel as though they're kind of relatively on the same level, based on who they are. And if truth be told, I think Steve Belichick being gone is more prevalent because he is the defensive coordinator than Mike Lombardi being gone. But tell me what you think. What are your thoughts?
I think the reason why this one wasn't as major news story wise is because, one, Steve Belichick is generally he's not a very polarizing figure overall. He never really has been. He's been low key for most part of his career as a coach, both professionally and in college. And he's not one of those coaches that you see stir the pot a whole lot. He's like, sure, the biggest stir of the pot that you're going to get is for the fact that, he's almost always on his dad's coaching staff at some point or another. So you do get that question of like, okay, is he going to step out of his dad's shadow at some point or another?
Mm-hmm.
Or is this just a major level like setup of nepotism? But I think with it being medical leave, and since there's not a whole lot of big detail when it comes down to medical leave, I think at this point, news itself is being a little more respectful to Steve, to say, because Steve isn't that big of a deal of a person per se. Like he's not gonna spin headlines for you. He's not gonna be a big massive attention getter when it comes down to headlines as compared to Mike Lombardi. Because one, the man's name is Mike Lombardi. The man's last name is Lombardi. Two, Mike Lombardi has already been in the headlines for one reason or another, even when he was with New England. So everybody knows Mike Lombardi's history. So when it comes down to getting a news article about Mike Lombardi, you're going to catch more eyes with a news article about Lombardi than you will Steve Belichick. Unless you heard that Steve got fired by Bill, you're not that worried about it. Unless you hear that he got fired or he resigned or some other unfortunate incident comes up after that, like medical leave, you could say Steve's on medical leave. You could say maybe his wife is the reason he's on medical leave. We don't know. So I think that's really it. Like Lombardi's going to catch you a bigger headline because he's already a massively polarizing figure in the landscape that is football.
I guess I could see that. I would you for, I'll say a good 75 to 90% of that. The one piece to me, like the name is like, because his name's Mike Lombardi. I'm like, well, that's still Steve Belichick. Like Belichick has made a name for himself, almost synonymous with Lombardi's, so to speak.
I mean, fair.
So to me, Belichick is on that same level. But I will agree that Steve Belichick has not been in as many headlines, hasn't made as much waves, hasn't been as controversial with his relationship choices, hasn't done as much in terms of, I guess, scandals or things of that nature. So he is relatively low key. If it was his wife or something of that nature, I feel as though that would be kind of even mentioned. Just like, hey, he's tending to family issues like with his wife, or he's just tending to family needs right now, which leads me to believe it's something directly with him. And part of me wonders if it's a severe ailment of sorts. And I guess I keep saying that because I'm going back and I'm thinking about the Kyle Busch situation this year, where Kyle Busch went into the hospital and everybody was thinking, okay, he's sick, he's going to be out, family's going to do what they got to do. And then next thing you know, 24 hours later, the man died of sepsis. And so because Bill Belichick's not releasing anything about this, like it's not a medical procedure, it's not something that's going out.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's crazy. But also, I don't know if it's life-threatening because that being his son, I feel like Bill Belichick would have left too.
Yeah, I think if it was life-threatening,
if it was a life-threatening thing, I think Bill would have took off for medical leave as well. We wouldn't have a head coach or a DC, which is why I also think, what could it be? Because it doesn't appear life-threatening. It appears concerning enough that Steve has to take medical leave, but it's not concerning enough that his father feels the need to be there to support him.
I think it's probably something that I feel like, yeah, it might be. It's probably something serious. Not life-threateningly serious, but serious enough that probably requires a little bit of surgery and a little bit of a hospital stay. That's what I'm thinking.
Right. And
I think it's one of those things they caught early enough that it's like, okay, let's go ahead and get this fixed now before it gets worse.
And that's possible. I guess for myself, and obviously HIPAA things, you have a right not to disclose your medical information. Like nobody has to know your medical history. You don't have to reveal that to any of us. That's perfectly fine. It just wonders to me, based off the severity and all the pieces surrounding it, it's like, okay, he's gone indefinitely, but his dad's not with him. So that doesn't mean it's life-threatening. There's no mention of it being like a family member of his. Like, I don't know if he has a wife and sons. I think he does. Wife, or not even sons, wife and kids. So it's like, is it somebody them? Usually, if it was like an internal thing, they were like, hey, Steve's going to handle some internal family matters. Just keep his thoughts and prayers with you at this time. Because all Bill said was, we look forward to getting him back as soon as possible. We coach defense collectively as a staff, and we will continue to do that. Granted, I don't know how religious or like agnostic or whatever Bill Belichick is, but usually if it's something like that, they're like, okay, just keep his thoughts and prayers while he's handling whatever he's got to handle. Even if the person's not religious, they might say something to that degree. You know what I mean? Right. So I was just curious, and when I saw the headline, I was like, yo, why didn't this make bigger news? Especially with the fact that Carolina plays in 2 weeks and you don't have your defensive coordinator for the very first game of the year. That's
and I think
huge.
they also look at it like since Bill himself is very defensive minded, I think it looked at as like, okay, even if Steve does go, Bill can easily just put in that spot and be all right.
Do you think the team does better or worse without Steve there on defense?
I think that depends on how long he's gone for.
What you mean?
I think depending on how, I think week 1 we're probably going to get a mid performance overall. Week 0, I don't think it's going to be like a super strong performance on either side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be a good performance. I think it's going to be decent enough to where like you could possibly put yourself in a position to win a game or even win the game. I don't think it's going to be like, oh my gosh, this is a 100% flip turnaround from what we saw starting last year. I don't think we're gonna get anything like that because it's first week of it's first week of the year. Yeah, you want to start off strong.
If we get that, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, if we get that, wonderful. But yeah, like I don't think so. Yeah, you want to start off strong, but I don't think it's going to be one of those like, okay, they're going to blow our mind kind of performances.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if he's out, let's say into week 3, week 4, I think the defense might suffer a little bit.
I can see that
because depending on whoever you put in as interim coordinator, or even like I said, or even if Bill takes up a bigger role when it comes down to defensive play calling, I think because he's going to have some like his hands too much in one side or the other, it's going to degrade his performance as a coach.